There are over 400 moons in our solar system, and every single one of them is trying to kill you. This is what dying on every moon would be like. Let's start with the strangest object ever found. Around Jupiter, 400,000 miles out, there is a moon that looks like a pizza. That's not a joke. That's actually how scientists describe it. A yellow and orange and red mottled ball about the size of our moon, drifting through Jupiter's radiation belt. Its name is Io, and it is covered in volcanoes. Not 3 or 4, not a few dozen, over 400 active volcanoes erupting right now. As you watch this video, Io is the most volcanically active object in the entire solar system, and it isn't even close. If you landed there, the first thing that would hit you isn't the lava, it's the smell. The whole surface is covered in sulfur and sulfur dioxide, which is what gives Io its yellow color. The atmosphere, what little there is of it, is poisonous. But you wouldn't smell it for long, because Io sits inside Jupiter's radiation belt, and the radiation here is not survivable. Not for a human, not for a spacecraft, not for anything. You'd absorb a lethal dose in less than an hour, even through a heavy suit. Skin would blister, eyes would cloud over, the lining of your stomach would slough off. You'd be cooked from the inside, while the planet underneath you erupted in every direction. And the radiation isn't even the strangest part. The temperature situation on Io makes no sense. Most of the surface is locked at minus 130 degrees Celsius, far below NASA's lower suit limit of minus 157. So the cold alone could kill you. Until you stepped near a volcano. Io's lava lakes hit 1,300 degrees Celsius, hotter than anything that exists on Earth. That's a swing of 1,400 degrees on the same moon, sometimes only miles apart. There's nowhere in the solar system where the temperature can change that violently. The volcanoes themselves aren't normal volcanoes either. They shoot plumes of sulfur 300 miles into space. You heard that right. The eruptions are so powerful they leave the moon entirely. You could be standing on the surface and watch a geyser of molten sulfur arc up over your head into orbit and rain back down on a different part of Io. Io is what hell would look like. Now we go from the loudest moon in the solar system to one of the quietest. Around Uranus there is a moon called Miranda. Miranda is small, only 300 miles across, and it looks like it was put together wrong. The surface is patchwork. Different sections look like they came from different worlds. Old craters next to brand new ridges, smooth plains next to chaotic, broken terrain. The leading theory is that Miranda was shattered by an impact at some point in its past, and then the pieces reassembled themselves under their own gravity. So Miranda is a moon made out of the corpse of an older moon. And on the surface of Miranda there is a cliff. It's called Rupees, and it is the tallest cliff in the entire solar system. 12 miles straight down, 20 kilometers, 10 times taller than the deepest point of the Grand Canyon. So tall that if you stood at the edge and looked over, the bottom would be hidden in shadow. The gravity on Miranda is incredibly weak, only 1/50th of Earth's, which sounds like it would make falling safer. It does not. It just makes it slower. If you stepped off the edge of Rupees, you would fall for 10 minutes before you hit the bottom. 10 full minutes of nothing. No air rushing past you because there's no atmosphere, no sound, no way to slow down. Just a dark cliff face on one side, the black sky on the other, and the slow, inevitable approach of the ground. And during those 10 minutes, the cold would already be killing you. Miranda's surface sits at minus 187 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees below what any NASA suit can handle. By the time you hit the ground, your suit's heating system would already be failing. And when you hit, even at 1/50th of Earth's gravity, you'd be moving at over 300 miles per hour. Bones would shatter on contact with the ground. Organs would burst. The suit would split open and freeze to the rock. 10 minutes to think about it, and 1 second to end it. Saturn has 146 moons, more than any other planet, and its largest one is bigger than Mercury. Its name is Triton. It's the second largest moon in the solar system, and it is the only moon we know of that has a thick, dense atmosphere, 1.5 times the pressure of Earth's at sea level. It also has weather, real weather, clouds, wind, rain, storms that build over weeks and break for days at a time. It has rivers, it has lakes, it has shorelines and beaches and deltas and seas, none of which are made of water. Everything liquid on Titan is made of methane and ethane, hydrocarbons, the same stuff we burn in our cars. At minus 179 degrees Celsius, methane behaves the way water does on Earth. It evaporates, it forms clouds, it rains down into rivers that flow into lakes that pool into seas. There is a body of liquid methane on Titan called Kraken Mare that is bigger than all 5 Great Lakes combined. To put that temperature in perspective, minus 179 is 22 degrees colder than the lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth, and that record was set once, for one moment, in Antarctica. On Titan, that's just how cold it is, all the time, everywhere. If you stepped out of your spacecraft onto Titan's surface, the first thing that would happen is your suit would start to ice over. The cold doesn't just kill you, it crystallizes anything that wasn't designed for it. Plastics shatter, rubber turns to glass, lubricants seize. If you walked to the edge of one of those methane lakes and waded in, you'd sink. Methane is less dense than water, so you wouldn't float the way you do on Earth. You'd drop straight down through a black, freezing liquid that would suck the heat out of your body in under a minute. Skin would harden, joints would lock, lungs would freeze before you finished exhaling, and then you'd just be gone. Buried at the bottom of an alien lake on a moon where it rains gasoline. After all that, the most dangerous moon might be the one you can see from your backyard. Our moon. And if you stepped onto its surface without a suit, you would be dead in under 30 seconds. The moon has no atmosphere, none at all, which means there is no air pressure pressing back against your body. Your blood, your saliva, the water in your eyes, all of it would start to boil. Not from heat, from the absence of pressure. Your spit would boil, your tears would boil, and the moisture on the surface of your lungs would boil so violently that the gases would tear them apart from the inside. If you somehow held your breath, your lungs would rupture. If you didn't, the air inside you would expand and burst your eardrums on its way out. And while all of this was happening, the temperature would be doing something insane. In direct sunlight, the surface of the moon hits 120 degrees Celsius. In the shadow right next to it, minus 173. You could have one foot frozen and the other foot cooking at the same time, 6 inches apart. That's a swing of 300 degrees with no atmosphere to soften it. NASA's spacesuit is rated for a maximum of 121 and a minimum of minus 157. The moon's daytime side just barely doesn't kill you. The shadow side absolutely does. That's the moon, the friendly one. Saturn's biggest moon will drown you in methane. Its smallest will shoot you out of the sky. Enceladus. Enceladus is small, only 300 miles across. You could fit it inside the state of Arizona. From far away, it just looks like a small white snowball, the most reflective object in the entire solar system. But Enceladus is doing something nobody expected. It's shooting water into space. From cracks in its south pole, what scientists call the tiger stripes, Enceladus erupts giant plumes of ice and water vapor straight up off its surface, hundreds of miles into space. The gas itself moves at 800 miles per hour, but the ice particles inside the plume travel faster, up to 2,800 miles per hour, faster than a rifle round. If you were standing near one of those vents when it erupted, the water wouldn't hit you like rain, it would hit you like a bullet. Frozen droplets traveling at 2,800 miles per hour, fast enough to punch straight through your visor, your helmet, your skull. And if you survived being shot by a moon, the cold would finish you. The surface of Enceladus is minus 200 degrees Celsius, 43 degrees colder than NASA's lowest suit limit. There is no atmosphere to slow heat loss, no insulation, no warmth to retreat to. Your suit's heating system would not be able to keep up. You'd start to feel it in your fingers and toes within minutes. That pins and needles burn that means tissue is dying. And the strangest part of Enceladus is what the geysers are coming from. Underneath the ice, there's an ocean, salty liquid water kept warm by gravitational forces. The plumes shooting into space are samples of that ocean, pushed up through the cracks and frozen as they hit vacuum. Which means every time Enceladus erupts, It's spitting alien seawater into orbit. There is a moon orbiting Jupiter, with more water on it than every ocean on Earth combined, and no one has ever touched it. Europa. From a distance, it looks like a cracked white marble, smooth, pale, crisscrossed with red streaks. It's the smoothest object in the solar system, with almost no craters, almost no mountains, just an endless frozen sheet of ice. And underneath that ice, there is an ocean, a real liquid water ocean, buried under 10 miles of solid ice. And here's the part scientists can't stop thinking about. It might not be empty. If you landed on the surface, the first thing you'd notice is that the ice is moving. The whole crust shifts and grinds against itself, opening cracks, slamming them shut. You might be standing on a stable section 1 minute and watch a fissure split open beside you the next. And if you fell in, if the ice gave way under your suit, you would not be able to get back out. The water below is dark. There's no sunlight. There's no surface to swim toward. The ice above you would close in seconds and you would be sealed inside. And that's where the temperature kills you. The water on Europa is just barely liquid, -2 degrees Celsius, kept warm by the gravitational squeeze of Jupiter pulling on the moon. But the ice you fell through is -170. So the moment you break through, you're surrounded by water that's barely above freezing, sealed under a ceiling of ice that's 200 degrees colder than your body. Your suit was not built for that. The water would conduct heat away from your body 25 times faster than air. You would freeze to death while drowning in an ocean nobody has ever seen. Muscles would seize, lungs would fill. Body heat would leave you faster than you could feel it going. And you wouldn't be alone down there. Scientists believe Europa's ocean might contain life. Microbial, maybe more than microbial. We don't know. The only thing we know for sure is that the ingredients for life are present: water, heat, chemistry, and that whatever lives in that ocean has been evolving in total darkness for 4.5 billion years. And it has never seen anything like you before. 3 billion miles from Earth, there is a moon that orbits its planet backward. It is the coldest place we have ever measured, and it doesn't belong here. Its name is Triton. It orbits Neptune, and it's the 7th largest moon in the solar system. Every other moon goes the way its planet spins. Triton goes the other way, which means Triton wasn't always there. It formed somewhere else, drifted into Neptune's gravity, and got captured. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how long it's been there. We just know Neptune caught it. And because of that wrong-way orbit, Triton is slowly being pulled apart. In a few 100 million years, Neptune's gravity will rip it into pieces, and it'll become a ring around the planet. Right now, you're looking at a moon that is dying. Triton's surface sits at -235 degrees Celsius. That's 40 degrees colder than Pluto, 40 degrees colder than anything else humans have ever sent a probe to, and 80 degrees beyond what any spacesuit ever built can handle. If you landed there, your suit's batteries would die first, then your suit's heaters. And once that happened, you would freeze so completely that your body would behave more like a rock than like a corpse. Tissues would turn to ceramic. Blood would solidify. Even decomposition couldn't happen because no bacteria on Earth can survive at that temperature. And finally, at the very edge of everything we know, there is one last moon: Charon. Chiron orbits Pluto, 3.5 billion miles from the Sun. It's the largest moon relative to its planet in the entire solar system. Chiron is half the size of Pluto itself. They're so close in mass that they actually orbit a point in space between them. They dance, instead of one spinning around the other. And they are locked to each other. Chiron and Pluto are the only large bodies in the solar system that are mutually tidally locked, which means Chiron always shows the same face to Pluto, and Pluto always shows the same face to Chiron. From one side of Pluto, you can see Chiron hanging in the sky, and it never moves, ever. It just sits there, in the same spot, day after day, year after year, century after century. A frozen gray moon, half the size of the world it's orbiting, stuck in the sky like it was painted there. If you landed on Chiron, the first thing you'd notice is the silence. There's no atmosphere, no wind, no erosion. The footprints you leave will still be there in a million years. The surface is minus 220 degrees Celsius, colder than Triton would have been if you walked there with a heater. Dusted in ancient ice and tolins, reddish organic compounds that have been baking under cosmic radiation for billions of years. There's a stain on Chiron's North Pole, a huge dark red splotch the size of New Mexico. Scientists call it Mordor Macula. It's where methane that drifted off Pluto over billions of years has settled and been chemically changed by sunlight. A red mark on a gray moon, caused by the slow leaking of one world onto another. If your suit failed on Chiron, you would not freeze the way you would on Triton. Chiron is so quiet, so still, so untouched, that even dying there would feel like nothing was happening. The cold would move into you slowly. Your body would stop exactly where it was, with the same view of Pluto and the stars that you had when you landed.